Good morning, everybody. I'm Jennifer. This is A Country Life. Thank you so much for sharing some of your time with me today. I am in my kitchen, of course. It is the Monday after Christmas, and I did not cook basically, well, I shouldn't say that. I didn't do a whole lot of cooking over the weekend. Saturday was Christmas, and I do put together a nice like Christmas morning brunch, so I do some cooking with that. Actually, Warren kind of pitched in, and so it wasn't really that big of a deal. And then we ended up having, on Christmas Day, we had frozen pizza for supper. It was fabulous. And then we had leftover frozen pizza yesterday. And since we ate that at such an odd time, it was like 2:30 in the afternoon, guess what we did for supper? We had a cereal supper. So that was it. There was hardly any dishes to do all weekend. I do have the dishwasher going now. I think it's the first time since like Friday or something like that. I do want to show you though what I got for Christmas. So I did get the Magnolia Table. This is the volume 1. Actually, Warren got me volume 1 and volume 2. And that, I have to tell you guys, is the sign of true love. That even though he is not a huge fan of me making new recipes, he still buys me cookbooks. I didn't have this on my wish list or anything, but he just took it upon himself to pick both of these out for me, and I am loving it. Can you see? I'm only through the breakfast and lunch section and soup. I think the breakfast, lunch, and soup. And those are all the tabs that I have of things that I would like to try in this cookbook. Some of the things are very similar to recipes that I already have, maybe things I haven't made in a while. And so I have it tabbed just to kind of say, hey, you should probably make that again, whether I use her recipe or whether I use the recipe that I've always used. Anyway, that's how I did it. I am going to make a couple things out of here. I don't know if I'm just going to film for the day and what I get done, or if I'm going to make this into a video where I do from start to finish with everything. But here's what I have so far. I have a frozen chicken, 1.5 pounds of stew meat. This is venison stew meat. Also, not ground beef, but ground venison. I have a 2-pound 4-ounce package and another 2-pound. With the hamburger here, I'm just going to microwave this for about, well, if I put both of them in, I'm going to microwave this for about 2 minutes, just enough so I can cut it in half, squeeze out the meat. I'm going to get these in my Dutch oven, and I'm going to be making nachos. I have some leftover both Cool Ranch Doritos and a bag of regular nacho chips left over from Christmas Eve, and I thought it would be a fabulous time to make some nachos. With the stew meat, I'm actually going to let that thaw. I'm actually going to do the Sunday supper beef tips on a Tuesday, and this recipe is very much like the recipes that I already make, except for it has the addition of a 1/3 cup of dry sherry. So I thought that that would give it just a little bit different seasoning, but otherwise it's onion soup mix, cream of mushroom soup. And then instead of being served with mashed potatoes, she serves it up with saffron rice. So I will make some rice with this meal. And guess what? I'm actually going to put the mushrooms in. I think Warren would probably really love it if someday I cooked him something with mushrooms. And since he bought me the cookbook, I'm going to make it just the way she says. So we're going to do that, but that's not going to be till tomorrow. Like I said, I don't know if I'm going to come back and just like cook this whole do this whole video, all the meals start to finish, or just show you what I'm doing today. But let's get started on this. The chicken I'm actually going to put into my Instant Pot, so as long as I can get this whole wrapper off of this chicken frozen, I'm going to pop it in the Instant Pot, put it in there for, well, you really can't go wrong. I'm thinking I'm probably going to put it in the Instant Pot for about 40 minutes, seeing that it's frozen. Okay, first off, we're going to have to lose the scarf. I don't know about you, but I put scarves on in the morning, and it's not, well, and I have it tied funny because I was doing laundry and it kept falling into the laundry. But anyway, I have to get rid of the scarf. 1, because I'm going to get too hot, and 2, because it's going to get into my food. I'm going to link this apron in the description box below. This is an apron that Warren got me a couple of years ago for Christmas, and I had actually pointed out a different apron when we were doing a wine walk one evening. We were at a little store, like a little cupcake bakery type of a thing was one of the stops on the wine walk. And they had all these aprons, and I pointed out a different apron. You've probably seen me wear it. It is kind of like red and white flowered with, no, I'm sorry, it's, I think, black and white. I need to look at it. It's this one. So this is the apron that I picked out that I absolutely loved. And when he went to get that apron, he saw this apron and he thought, boy, I think she would really like that one. So he ended up buying me 2 aprons. He does stuff like that all the time, where instead of just buying, like this year, I had asked for some work gloves for outside. Instead of just buying 1 pair of work gloves, he bought me 2 pair. I don't know, he just always does it like that. I thought I wanted that other one, and I like that one, the one that I picked out. Hey Joe, you doing some singing today? And dancing? He got some new headphones for Christmas, so he's loving that. But anyway, this is the one he picked out for me, and this is the one I always gravitate towards because I love just the cut of this apron, and the feel of it is so comfortable. Are you Macho Man today? Can you even hear me in there?
Yeah.
Yeah? What are you singing into? Singing into your new car? He also got a police car.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You got a police car. It's very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. These 3 small onions diced are going to go into the ground venison for the nachos. Hello! How is my shoveler? I said, how's my shoveler?
We were kind of in better moods, but I was like, I wish Dad could come up and just scrape all the snow away. A few minutes later, Dad came up and just scraped all the snow. He came like all the way up to the garage and scraped it all the way. And I was like, yay!
It has one of those like little soak up diaper pads on it. So I'm gonna have to run this under some cold water until I can thaw it enough to get these 2 pieces off of it. So once I have all of that chicken cooked up, I have it earmarked to do 2 things. One is going to be the tortilla chicken soup, or was it the wild rice? No, it's the tortilla chicken soup out of the volume 1 of Magnolia Table. I also want to make her chicken spaghetti recipe. Now I have made in the past a $1 million spaghetti, which is a ground beef recipe, and you kind of make spaghetti, put some cream cheese in it, and it gets put into the oven and baked. And that was good. I enjoyed that, but I think my family was kind of like, okay, if you're gonna make spaghetti, just do the noodles, the sauce, the meat, call it good. But I really want to try this. I've seen recipes like this for chicken spaghetti a lot, and it always looks and sounds just decadent to me. So I'm gonna make this, and that is what I'm getting this cheese ready for. So it does call for 2 ounces of processed cheese such as Velveeta. Well, this is the white queso Velveeta, and that's what I have, so I'm going to use this up. But it only calls for 2 ounces, so I should probably weigh this out quick. This is actually about 12 ounces, so I guess I don't need a whole lot. Cut that off and see what that says. All right, that is about 2 ounces right there, just that little tiny amount. I also need a 1/2 cup of diced onion for the chicken spaghetti, so I'm just gonna get that going right now as well. I want this really finely chopped because I don't want there to be big hunks of vegetables in this dish. I just feel like my kids will be more apt to eat it if the veggies are very, very, very tiny. I'm still waiting on the chicken to thaw enough to get that little diapery thing off. In the meantime here, I'm just gonna get the nacho meat seasoned up. So I'm gonna just start by adding a whole lot of salt. Since this is 4 pounds of meat, I'm also gonna put in a bunch of cracked pepper. So I just cut onions on here, which is just fine. I'm going to slice up the black olives for the nachos, and if it feels like I'm skipping all over the place, I am, and that's because there's a few ingredients that I don't have, and I do need to go to the grocery store later. It's just I need to wait till later to go, and I wanted to start in on some of the cooking now, so I am kind of jumping all over the place, but that's just how it is when you're trying to make a whole bunch of different meals kind of at one time. Sometimes it just makes sense to do a bunch of the chopping at one point, or however, you just gotta make it work for your schedule. I'm jumping over to making lunch now. We're just gonna have egg in a hole today, and then probably some kiwis and cuties and just really whatever other types of things we can find. So what I did here for these two is in the hole with the butter, I put a little bit of onion, like some of that minced onion that I minced a little bit ago, a couple of grape tomatoes sliced in half, and just a few of these little bacon pieces, and then salt and pepper, and yeah, I think that's going to be a delicious egg in a hole. And then the part that the kids like the best is that when the egg in a hole are done, then I toast up all these little centers, and they absolutely love that part. I added a can of refried beans to the meat mixture. Sometimes with this amount of meat, I would add in 2 cans, but I have 1, so I'm adding 1. And then I'm just going to put in probably about 4 tablespoons or more of taco seasoning. I do have a video where I make the taco seasoning. Otherwise, the recipe's also in my cookbook if you have that. I think it's in the back in the miscellaneous section. It's also, I believe, a highlight over on Instagram if you happen to follow me there. Okay, so I'm going to get this stirred up, and then I'm just going to pop this in the fridge. It will be ready to eat for whatever night this week we decide to have nachos. Well, I'm just home from the grocery store. I went and did my shopping at Piggly Wiggly, actually, and I also picked up a couple things from Dollar General today. So I told you in I think my last video that you're going to see some different styles of grocery shopping and household shopping this year, because I am I don't really think the word is challenging, because that's really not the right word. But anyways, I'm sort of just wanting to get away from constantly shopping at Walmart. And I've had a couple things lately. I'm not going to quit shopping at Aldi at all because their prices are fabulous and there's a lot of really, really great things there. But I have had a couple things, you know, the egg noodles. And then if you read in the comments, there were other people that have gotten some bum egg noodles from Aldi as well. And then also their garbage bags. They have changed them, and they're the same garbage bags that we have been buying for years and years. And I feel like they've shrunk their bags by, I don't know, like an inch in length, or they've done something that the flaps do not stay over the side of the bag anymore. And so it's always sliding down and it's always making a mess. Anyway, here we go. Let me show you what I picked up at Piggly Wiggly today. This is all for like the different soups and the different meals that I'm going to be making throughout this week. Okay, so I did pick up this chicken breast. I'd like to make the chicken and wild rice soup recipe, and this is the wild rice. I have never purchased this before, the ready rice, so it's all ready to go in here. You just add it to the soup, which sounded very quick, very easy. I also picked up 2 things of heavy whipping cream and some white, this is white cheddar cheese for the chicken spaghetti, also for the tortilla soup. Joe found the pears. I knew he would right away. And then this is the Mexican rice for the tortilla soup. I picked up 1 tomato. That's going to be for the tortilla soup. The avocado for the same thing. The 2 peppers are for the chicken spaghetti. And then I just happened to see that pears were $1.49 a pound, which is a great price. So I just loaded this bag up and purchased those, and they are ready to eat. So I'm happy that Joe has found those right away here. And then this is a little bag of cilantro. I will top the soup with that. So that'll be one of the toppings. I probably am the only person, maybe Sam likes cilantro, so I didn't need very much. And look at this. Have you ever seen this in like 3 years or 4 years or whatever of vlogging here? No, mushrooms. So one of the soup recipes calls for mushrooms, and I thought I'm just going to try it. I can always pick them out if I really don't like them, And I know Warren likes mushrooms. I find it easy as the mom to say, oh, you kids, you need to try this and you need to try that. And oh, your palate, you know, your taste palette changes and everything over the years. Well, maybe it's time for me to try it too. And then for the Sunday beef tips, it called for a can of mushrooms. So I bought those as well. Again, if I'm not into them, I can always just pick them out. But I thought Warren would like that in the gravy. A can of cream of mushroom soup. This I actually picked up from Dollar General. And then the barbecue sauce was from Dollar General, and I'm glad I got it there. It was $2 a bottle at Dollar General, and then when I went next door to Piggly Wiggly, it was $2.25. I know I've seen these for 99 cents on sale. I just didn't hit it in the right week. And that is just something we need. It's not for one of these meals, but we just needed it. The kids have been missing it. And then I did want to pick up some cooking sherry, which I was very surprised. This is $4.19, so I hope that we like it, and I hope that it's something I want to cook with more. Here's 1 pound of regular spaghetti. This was from Dollar General for 90 cents. And then I did pick up 1 bag of tortilla chips because I realized if we're going to have nachos and tortilla soup and something else, we're going to need to have more chips. And then I did see that at Piggly Wiggly they had some shoelaces, and I know Warren needed some of these bootlaces for a pair of his boots. So I picked those up as well. And that is everything. And now I'm going to get back to cooking. So my chicken has been over here in cold water, and I just, oh, perfect. And I kept flipping it over and waiting for this little diaper thing to fall off. Now I can put that in the garbage, and I bet I can pull the bag out. I'm sure I can. Oh, I can't with one hand, but I'll be able to when I put the camera down. And I'm going to get this in the Instant Pot. I'm just going to add water and a little bit of Knorr chicken seasoning in with the chicken in the Instant Pot. Earlier in the video, I mentioned that I was not sure if I was going to just like cook today and bring you guys along, and then you know, what happens, happens. But no, I'm not going to do that. I can't leave you all hanging. So just, you know, just keep sticking around in this video because I will, in the end, show you all of these meals that I make. So what I'm working on right now is the chicken and wild rice soup. And so what it called for is to put flour and salt and pepper together and then dice all of the chicken, which is 2.5 pounds of chicken. And now I'm just going to lightly stir this up. So for the chicken and wild rice soup, I have half a stick of butter here, which is 4 tablespoons. I'm melting that. As soon as this is melted, I'm actually going to turn the heat up just a little bit, but as soon as that's melted, I'll be adding in this onion and celery. And we're going to saute that up for 5 minutes before adding the mushrooms and then the garlic. And after I have all of that, then we will add in the chicken. So I still have to lightly stir this up, and then I will only add in the chicken. I'll kind of like shake off the excess flour because I don't want all that extra flour in the soup. Well, I was just getting the mushrooms ready, and it called for 8 ounces, which would be those and all of those. And this looks like so much mushroom to me. So that's all I'm going to put in. I'm only going to put in 4 ounces of mushrooms because, yeah, I just can't. I just can't do it. I put one in my mouth and I tasted it and I was just like, oh my gosh, I am not a mushroom fan. So anyway, but I'm going to go with it at least a little bit. Like I said, I think I'm putting in about 4 ounces of mushrooms. Per the recipe, the chicken does not have to be cooked all the way through. I did work at browning it here, and look at that wonderful crust on the bottom. Some of that's just darkness from the pan. That is going to make add such good flavor. Okay, I'm going to add in 1/4 cup. Maybe just a splash more. Okay, of white wine. It called for dry white wine. I had a bottle of semi-dry wine open, and I'm just going to kind of scrape the bottom a little bit here. Try to deglaze my pan. Whoops, getting onions all over. That smells so good, you guys, so good. Chicken broth here, 4 cups. Add that in, and that will further deglaze the pan. It doesn't look like there's that many mushrooms in it now. maybe I could have added a few more. No, what am I saying? I don't even like mushrooms. All right, so I'm going to check this. Add the wine if using, which I am. Cook until almost evaporated. I did. A minute. Stir in the broth. Bring to a simmer. Reduce heat and simmer for 10 minutes. And then I will stir in the rice and the milk and the cream. So this is the rice here. I opened it up just to take a look at it, and I tasted it, and it tastes really good. Very herb-y, kind of a very herb-y flavoring. And for the cream, it calls for a half cup. And so I will put in just a half cup of cream and 1.5 cups of milk. The whole chicken was finally thawed enough. I put this in for, I think, 30 minutes since it was mainly all the way thawed. Here's the soup. I thought we were going to do something else for supper tonight. I didn't get it into the crock pot, and the soup is done, and it smells so good. So I want to have the soup. Now, I do think that the rice is really soaking up a lot of the liquid, and I may have to, like tomorrow when we have the leftovers, I may have to add in a little more chicken broth. Okay.
Just for you.
Thanks. Look at those mushrooms. Those are just for you.
I'm going to enjoy them.
The recipe calls to garnish with a little parsley, and I didn't have any fresh parsley, so we're just using some dried parsley.
What's this?
This is chicken and wild rice soup from my new Christmas cookbook. Doesn't it smell good? So Peter and I have actually already tried it. We took a little bit out and let it cool, and it tastes delicious. I thought it was good. Peter said, this is good. Maria, what do you think? You're going to try it? Of course. There's lots and lots of chicken in it.
I mostly want the chicken.
You mostly want chicken, huh? All right, and then you're going to have some crackers?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, we are done with supper now, and this chicken and wild rice soup is absolutely delicious. Yes. I marked it. Yes, Joe gobbled it down. Maria loved the chicken. Peter ate it, correct? Yep, Peter liked it. Warren said multiple times, thanks for supper, thanks for supper. That was so good. I did make a couple notes to use 4 ounces of mushrooms in the future. I actually, believe it or not, ate every single one of the mushrooms in my bowl. I thought they were actually quite good. Still, I'm not a huge fan of the texture, though. I could feel them in my mouth, but I ate them. I also put a little note here, more broth if needed. I think that, like tomorrow, I think I'm going to have to add a little bit more broth to it, because I do think that the rice will soak up more of that. Another change that I did make is that up here where it calls for the salt and pepper, I didn't read it carefully enough that I was only supposed to do 1 1/4 teaspoons of each in the flour for the chicken, and then at the end down here you're supposed to add in the remaining salt and pepper, I guess, if you know, once you taste it and if you need it. And I didn't do that. I actually just added it all up here, and it was absolutely divine. So this is definitely a winner of a recipe. Well, it is sort of late-ish. It's 8:45 right now, but the chicken was finished, and it was to just the perfect cooled temperature. And, you know, this is what happens to me every single time I do something like this. I start it too late in the afternoon, and then it's at just the right temperature for taking all the meat off the bone when it's like the time of night when I would not want to be doing this. But I end up doing it anyway, because if you wait and have this completely cold and you chill the chicken overnight, the meat is so much harder to get off the bone, and I feel like you end up wasting a lot of it. It ends up just staying on the bone. So here's everything I have left. What I'm going to do is use the slow cook function on my Instant Pot or my electric pressure cooker. Tonight, I'm just going to fill this all the way up with water, cook these bones overnight, and then tomorrow I will strain it. And all of that bone broth that I make, I will use in the 2 recipes that I'm using this chicken for, which is going to be chicken spaghetti and the chicken tortilla soup. So I'm looking forward to, actually, I'm really looking forward to both of those. I just cannot encourage you enough to, when your chicken is the right temperature, even if you don't feel like peeling it off the bone, just do it, because it's just a time saver to do it when it's still warm. All right, I'm going to stop talking here tonight, get this filled up, get it put into my Instant Pot, and on the slow cook function, get it going, and then it's going to be time to just sit down and kind of veg out for the evening. All right, good morning. Same clothes, different day. And it smells so good. I just took the cover off of my electric pressure cooker. I had this set for 12 hours. It's actually been 13 hours and 15 minutes. This automatically turns off, but it puts it onto a keep warm cycle. I just canceled that out. And after I talked to you late last night and I put everything, I had all the bones and skin and everything in here, I did actually heavily salt and pepper this. There was already a bay leaf in it from when I cooked the whole chicken. I just wanted to give you that update because I told you I wasn't going to do anything to it, but then I did decide to add some salt and pepper. Okay, so I'm going to get this straining. I've showed you that already on another video. I just have a mesh sieve like this. They do make a little bit bigger ones, and I used to have a bigger one, but I ended up breaking it, pushing cranberry sauce through it. But this one still works just fine. And I'm just going to set it up over top of a bowl, and I will just keep ladling out batches of this and letting it drip through here. And then what we'll do is we will separate off the fat if there is enough to separate off. I did get a question recently regarding these bowls. These are Pyrex. I actually received a set of these for a wedding shower gift. Now, you guys, that was 25 years ago. And I still have most of them. I believe I might have actually had 2 of the large bowls. One did break. Yes, and then I bought a replacement, and that was probably at least 10-ish years ago. I'm still using these bowls. I love them so much. Sorry for the fingernails, they kind of fell off. This is Nail Addict polish, and when it does start to lift, it's actually not bad because the whole nail, the whole polish little sheet just peels right off, and you don't have all of that chipping, but you are missing nails. So I'll have to do those, excuse me, later today. I'll do those 3 nails. But anyway, yeah, there's so much that you can do with these, and I do have multiple sizes of these bowls. On days when I remember, I will put a paper towel in between here so that it can catch any drips, and I'm going to turn this just a little bit so it doesn't drip onto the handle there. I just grabbed a little bowl here because if I see any chicken in here that I missed when I was peeling it off the bone, then I just throw it in that bowl quick.
Mom.
Yes, Joe?
My friend had police car, has Nick's.
Does that look like Nick's police car?
Yes. It's like, wee-you.
When the sieve starts to get full, I will just give it a little press and then... Okay, Joe, thank you. And then I just dumped this into my scrap bucket. So that is a full 1/8 inch of fat on top. Sometimes when it's that small amount, it doesn't work the greatest in a fat separator. I'm putting together the chicken spaghetti now I think we're actually going to have this for supper tonight. I am going to still hold off on the nachos just because I know that can sit in the fridge for a number of days. I just want to have this for supper. These meals have been just smelling so good. So in here I have a 1/2 stick of butter. I waited for it to completely melt, and then I put in a 1/2 cup of the minced onion. I minced that yesterday. It's a whole diced red pepper, a whole diced yellow pepper, and a tablespoon of minced garlic. And everything I got ready yesterday, so it was so easy to just quick whip together. I'm going to set my timer for 6 minutes because she says to saute for 6 minutes. 6 minutes is up. The recipe calls for 1 cup of trimmed and chopped mushrooms. I'm only going with a 1/2 cup. You guys, they were not bad last night in the soup, and so I'm going to add them to this recipe too, just the way it calls for. And now this has to saute for 2 additional minutes. I also have the spaghetti going. I'm just waiting for this to return to a boil. I'll set my timer for, I think, about 7 minutes. It says 8 to 10, but I really don't want them to be too mushy. I am making a chicken spaghetti for supper. It does have some mushrooms in, you bet. All right, y'all. Oh my gosh. This, I think, is my new favorite casserole ever. It is so delicious, but I am always a sucker for peppers and onions. The mushrooms aren't bad. I'm just going to say that right now. They're not bad. I only put half as much in. But what I ended up doing here, when the camera was turned off, I added in all the cheeses. Maybe I showed that. And the chicken stock and the milk and the cream and all of that, and then I just stirred and stirred until it was nice and creamy and everything was melted. I added in a really good helping of freshly ground black pepper. Peter's watching some duck hunting videos in the background if you hear ducks quacking. Then I stirred in the chicken. It called for 2 cups of chicken. I think I actually did a little bit more, like 2.5 to 3 cups, because 2 cups just did not look like all that much chicken. And I ended up having to put it back into the big kettle that I cooked the noodles in because my skillet was just not big enough. I stirred everything together. I poured it into this greased casserole dish, and now I tried it. Honestly, I do not think that the baking of it is necessary, but I'm going to follow the directions. It says to spray your foil and then cover it, bake it for about 20 minutes, take the foil off, bake it for another 5 to 10. Now, I did put all the cheddar cheese in. I was supposed to hold out some of the cheddar cheese and sprinkle it on top, but I just didn't do that. I guess I didn't read carefully enough. But anyway, this is going to be supper tonight. The next recipe I'm going to be putting together is the tortilla soup. So I don't think that I prepped anything for this yesterday except for the chicken. And it calls for 4 cups of already cooked chicken. And that looks to be about 4 cups to me. Maybe that's even a little bit more. And this is all I have to actually prep to make the soup part of this. I need to drain this can of corn, dice this red tomato, dice up this red onion, and then I have still been saving jalapenos from my garden from this summer. You can see there are some soft spots. I will just cut that off. Like this end is going to have to go, but the rest of it's good. And this side is going to have to go, but this side is still really good. So I'm going to add in that. It only calls for a half of a jalapeno, but I don't think she means these little teeny ones like this. So I'm going to put in all of the good jalapeno that I can find there. I do feel like if you didn't have these fresh vegetables, that you could just put in about a cup of salsa. And I feel like that would be, I have homemade salsa, so I think that would be just fine. Just throw in the corn and the homemade salsa and call it good. Okay, I'm just going to dip this in here. I need 12 cups. And I'm going to get that poured into this big stock pot here. And that is 3. So we're at 7. I might actually need the whole bowl here, which would actually be perfect. This is 8, 9.5. Look at that. I'm going to use up this whole entire bowl. Okay, so that totaled about 12.5 cups of broth. So I have to put that in the soup pot, as well as the tomato, the corn, the onion, the jalapeno, the salt, the pepper. And I'm going to bring that to a boil, reduce the heat, add the shredded chicken, and simmer until heated through. Look at how simple this recipe is to put together. And then it uses one of these Mexican rice pouches up here. I will stir the rice mix into the soup. I don't even have to cook the rice pouch first. So, and then I will add in the cumin. And this is going to be so simple to do. It can sit in the fridge for a few days. And then when I want to serve it, I'll just chop up into small bowls some cilantro, avocado, a great big bowl of crushed tortilla chips, of course, some mozzarella cheese. And then I will just put those right on the table. And everyone will serve up their soup when they go to the table. We can pass around the bowls and they can all just put on their favorite toppings. I have to take a clean spoon because Sam loaded the dishwasher and took my spoon. But I do like how the soup is very brothy. I think that makes for a great soup that you put a lot of add-ins into, especially when you're going to be putting in, or what we'll be doing is adding in tortilla chips, crushed, and then I'll be putting in avocado on top as well as cilantro. I also think with the spice level, the little dollop of sour cream would be delicious with this soup. I'm going to let this cool. And again, this is going to be another one of those that I'm just going to pop into the fridge and let it be. Warren just talked to Emily. Emily's actually going to watch Joseph, Peter, and Maria tomorrow because Sam, he's going to be doing some winter camping, so he can't. And I'm so happy that I have all of that nacho meat made. So I can just take the nacho meat over there and some chips and some cheese, and that'll be perfect for them to have for lunch. So I'm gonna just kind of get things cleaned up. Sam did already do the dishwasher. I have some dishes that have to be washed, put away. Look at this, that must be remnants of Joe right there. And then there's just like this. You know, just like the kitchen sprawl. Well, I'm making yet another recipe. So the chocolate chip cookies recipe from the Magnolia Table Volume 1. I have everything mixed up. It looks a little bit different because it is a little bit different. You know, there's the typical Nestle Toll House 2 1/4 cups of flour, teaspoon baking soda, teaspoon salt, you know the drill, two sticks of butter. And then there's the recipe that Warren loves so very much, which is all shortening with flour, and it even has a cup of oatmeal in it. But he knows if there is another cookie, another chocolate chip cookie recipe, I am going to try it. All the cookies are done, and we all, of course, tried one already, and they are good.
Yeah, so delicious.
Joe thinks they're really delicious. I think they're very, very good too. I just would do less chocolate. I don't like how when I got down to the end with the batter or the dough, with the dough being a little bit on the drier side because you only have 1 stick of butter. That's a 1/2 cup of butter compared to most cookie recipes. Like chocolate chip will have a full cup of fat, whether it be, you know, all butter, all shortening, a mix of both. Anyway, when you got down to the end, it was like you were just scooping up chocolate chips. And so I would just prefer to have a little bit more dough than chocolate. Also, as they cool, I do think, like, let's just take this one right here. They're like a crispy on the outside, chewy on the inside type of a cookie. Warren already tried one. He's like, these are really good. But he knew immediately that it was a different recipe. I said, it's a new recipe. He's like, yeah, I know. I said, it's out in the Magnolia Table cookbook. And he's like, yep, I figured so. So anyway, all right, we're gonna have the chicken spaghetti for supper. I just have to get a few things cleared. The dining room table has turned into quite a mess back there, if you can see that. So I have to get that cleared, and we're gonna get the table set, and we're gonna make some green beans, and then we're gonna be having supper. We're serving up the chicken spaghetti for supper here, and I couldn't find green beans, so I just made up some quick broccoli. Yep, I know, you got the milk. Go take it to the table.
Piece.
1 gallon milk.
Yep, 1 gallon of milk.
Can I get it?
Big heavy.
You gotta take more chicken.
And then there's kiwis. You know what? We didn't put spoons out. Peter, you might want to put some spoons out for the people with kiwis. So all week I've been trying to give you guys updates on the meals and show them being served, but tonight is New Year's Eve and we just have a house full. And so anyway, this here was the tortilla soup. Everybody thought that that was really good. It really was not that spicy. I thought it was going to be, but it kind of mellowed after the first day, because I did make it yesterday or whatever and let it just kind of like sit. You know how soup gets better like that. Okay, here are the venison tips. Sam put that together this morning. Again, a recipe from the Magnolia Table, Volume 1. Those were very good. We had just a little tiny serving left over, and I just put that in the fridge. Barbecue. This, of course, went over well. Everybody, all the barbecue lovers were very happy to have that, and we have lots of leftovers. And that brings me to the end of this video and the end of trying out a whole bunch of the Magnolia Table recipes. So far, I am really, really happy with that cookbook, and I have so many more things. Ready? Those are all the different things that I want to make out of Volume 1. So anyway, stay tuned. There'll be more of that cooking. And here are a couple other videos for you guys to enjoy. Lots of cooking in my country kitchen. Thanks for watching so much, and we'll see you guys in the new year.